This is a 2017 Jeep Renegade Deserthawk, and today I'm going to be showing you the quirks and features of this car. Now, I mentioned this is the Deserthawk trim level of the Jeep Renegade, which gives you a few extra things over any other Renegade. This is basically just on the same platform as a Trailhawk, but what you get extra is right here on the hood, you get this special topographic map, which looks really cool. Also, the Jeep logo is dark. It's not completely black, it's like a metallic gray, really. Same with the grille and the grille slots. Now, this is my car, and the two red slots here and these angry eye things, I added those separately. You still, of course, like the Trailhawk, get the red toe hooks. We go over to the side here, another differentiation from the Trailhawk trim. You get solid black rims. I believe these are 17-inch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're 17s. And of course, the trail rated badge is on all the Renegades that are Trailhawk or Deserthawk, except for the Deserthawk, it's gray instead of red on the inside. You get these more of a gray metallic again on the mirrors. You get, instead of red around the Renegade logo, you get the metallic gray and then Deserthawk under that. You get these rock rails down here, really solid rock rails, steel standard on the Deserthawk, and then of course keep the little military star on the back here. Also from the Deserthawk, the taillight housings, metallic gray. You get a gloss black outlined Jeep logo with metallic gray inside. Now, this specific Jeep has an MSRP of about $35,000, give or take, and this is the 2.4 liter multi-air Tiger Shark engine with 180 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. Now on to the quirks. Sorry if this is a little bit shaky due to the fact I'm not using my tripod anymore. On all Jeep Renegades, there are quite a bit of Easter eggs, is what they call it, on the vehicle. For instance, right here in the interior, you have the Willys Jeep grill. Also, you hear on the speaker, on the outside of the speaker, if you can see that there. And if you go over here to the side of the windshield, you can see a little Willys Jeep climbing up a mountain. And also, if we go to the back here, it's really hard to see, but maybe it'll be easier if I open up the truck here. Another quirk is the Jeep logo here, the Jeep grill. And then right here, if you can see that, there's a little Sasquatch. The tires I have on the specific Renegade are the BF Goodrich KO2s and 225 65 R17. I didn't have to put any spacers or lift on this truck, and there's no rub at all. On-road, off-road, and at full turning lock. Now onto the interior of the Jeep Renegade Deserthawk. So, on this specific model, we have, since it's the 2017, we do not have the 8.4-inch Uconnect 4C system, but we still do have a good system. The 6.5-inch system here works very smoothly. I do like it. I don't like it as much as the 8.4 systems that are new, but it's still very, very good. This interior has a very nice feel for the price point. $35,000, you can't expect too much out of this car. But on the top panel here, this is soft touch grained leather up here. There's a nice bar right here. I don't know what to call it. It's a nice grab bar. It has a rubber inside. Don't pull it too hard because it will try to come off from experience. It also puts phones in there very, very well. Put my phone in there all the time. Also on the Deserthawk trim, there are others with this trim in the interior trim. I don't know the other trim levels that have this, but they have this golden trim, I guess you could call it, around the air vents, the shift lever, and the speaker grills. Unlike the Trailhawk, which comes in a red color, and again the tan more with the sand of the desert theme, which I kind of like better because it's more of a classy color than the red. I think the red's a little bit too crazy, personally. This has the upgraded Beats sound system, which is a 506 watt, I believe, system, and it is plenty powerful. Honestly, it has a massive subwoofer in the trunk. I really love the sound system in this car. It works very, very well. onto the door panels here. The door panels on the top, they're just plastic. They're not horrible. They seem nicely fitted. The fit and finish of this car is nice. And then down here on the bottom panel of the door, the bottom portion of the door, and then on the side here, we do have a very, very nice soft touch, and it goes pretty far in. It's very plush leather here. It's probably faux leather, but it doesn't feel bad or anything. And of course the steering wheel is nice grain leather with stitching on the interior. It does have a heated steering wheel and heated front driver and passenger seats. This also has the dual zone climate control. So you have these nice dials right here to change the temperature on the left and right side. And then in the middle you can change how much air is coming out. You can change it to defrost in the front, and then face air, and then feet air, front and rear defroster in between the dials. Your hazard button, of course, is right here. And also this car, on the steering wheel, you have your cruise controls on this side, on the right side. The controls for the gauge cluster, which I will show in a second, are on the left side, along with the accept call button, decline call button, and voice recognition. Also, if your phone's connected via Bluetooth or USB, you can hold that and it turns on Siri. Now down here, I will also spotlight this even more when I put the camera on this side. You have your 12-volt DC current charger here. You have an auxiliary cord port here, 3.5mm. You have USB here, and then you have your 4-wheel drive selector. Now onto the driver's seat of this vehicle. Again, like I said, plastic on the top panel of the door, nice soft touch on this portion of the door. Just your normal Fiat Chrysler switch panel here. Of course, you have auto up and down on the front windows, windows, power windows without auto on the back. And then if you get in the driver's seat here, the button right here, there's another little quirk. You cannot see this right now, but right under the start button it says start and stop engine, of course, and it says 2 new adventures right here, which is a pretty cool quirk in my opinion. Looking at the gauge cluster here, sorry about the glare from the lights over there, but looking at the gauge cluster here, we do see that it has just a normal, fairly common looking gauge cluster. On the left, of course, tachometer. That sorry, let me make the camera focus here. Tachometer with the red line is pretty cool on this. It shows the red line as mud splatters. Of course, you can't really see that too well because of the lighting as well, but which is a pretty cool thing in my opinion. On the right, obviously, your speedometer goes up to 160, which is hilarious because this car can only go, I think, 106 or something like that. Then on the main LCD panel in the middle, you have on the bottom left. I think you can configure this on the top but right here on the top left, we have the time, middle a compass, and right the stage of the car. It will say run and on right now in the ignition position. You can configure those to whatever you want, which I like. And then of course down on the bottom here, like I mentioned, you have the gas gauge on the bottom right, coolant temperature on the bottom left. I don't know if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry. I'm just maybe ignorant about that. I know a lot about cars, but only some about mechanics. Come on, focus, there we go. Now in this main LCD cluster, we have, of course, the gear you're in on the right where it says P. That changes according to what gear you're in. And then it shows your speed in the middle. You just press this little button on the steering wheel that says OK in the middle, and it changes to kilometers per hour. Press it back for miles per hour. Now this is how you control the whole LCD panel and the gauge cluster, and it works very, very well. So if you go down on the joystick, I guess you could call here, on the control pad, you go down to the second menu, which is vehicle information. We have the tire pressures. It looks like the front left is a little bit high, so I need to air that down slightly. So it shows tire pressure, the coolant temperature, transmission temperature, the oil temperature, battery voltage, and then again the tire pressure. Third is fuel economy. It shows your range, your average fuel economy, and then your current fuel economy when you're driving. On the fourth menu, it shows your trip information, trip A and trip B, of course. 5 is audio. If there's any audio playing, it will show the artist and the song right there, and if you're on radio, what station you're on. 6 is messages. If there's any messages that you have from your phone, if it's Bluetooth or USB again, it shows them right here. 7 is screen setup, which makes, like what I was saying, you can change what's in the corners and in the middle. That's what that's for. And then settings, just settings of the car here. So that's how the LCD screen in the gauge cluster works. Now on to the Uconnect 6.5 system. So right here, we have this cool badge that says it's 1941, which is pretty cool. Volume knob, of course, or tuner knob. We have this top button right here. It turns off the screen, so if you want to clean it, that's incredibly handy. Just touch it to turn back on. And then this is the volume muter. Don't want to get copyright here. You go to settings with this. It goes instantly to the settings menu. And then, of course, you have radio, which I'm already on radio. You can change AM, FM, of course, Sirius XM, all these channels. Just change to whatever channel on your favorites bar. Once you go to a channel, you can just click it here, and it just goes to the favorites, which is very nice. Apparently, my Sirius XM just ran out today because I've had it until since yesterday, so that's odd. Media here is either Bluetooth, auxiliary input, USB, or like an iPod connection is what it calls it, which is just the USB in the console. You also have nav here, which it works good. It's just conventional Uconnect navigation. It works fine. Voice recognition works surprisingly well with navigation. Go back into the menu here, where to you can't input addresses while you're moving, like most cars these days, but you can speak it, and again, like I said, it does work fairly well. You can search by address, recent addresses you've put in, point of interest, favorites, intersections. You can set it to go home. You can set it to record your trips that you've been on, the exact coordinates of where you are, or to, go to an exact coordinate. Go to a point that you select on the map, to a center of a city, one of the closest cities, and you can also, which is something cool about Jeep, is you can record trails. For instance, let me show you this here. I just went on a road trip, so I can go right here, and it shows me this whole trip that I've taken recently, which is pretty cool. And I can set to go on that trip again, which is also awesome. Of course, you have nearest emergency services here, and then information of nearby locations, I believe that's what it is. Now, traffic information and where I am. Okay, so you can click where am I and all that stuff. I've never even pressed that button, so that's what that does. Next is the phone tab. It shows who you've recently called up at the top. I'm just going to hide that for a second. I don't know why I'm sensitive about that, but I will be. You can redial the last person who you called, mute transfer the call to your phone, join calls, of course, and then in calling you can go to the keypad here to dial direct here, phone book, simple things. Go to the apps page here. I believe you can put this however you want, but I have mine as audio here, the time, temperature, a compass, phone battery, phone signal, and Bluetooth status, Uconnect apps, and then Sirius XM Travel Link. And the Travel Link is the same on all Uconnect vehicles. It just shows fuel prices around you, movie listings, sports, weather, your favorite destinations, Sirius XM traffic, and a weather map. Pretty handy. So that's an overview of the center screen, the infotainment screen. And just a couple more interior quirks here. On the seats we have embossed Deserthawk, which is pretty cool. These are leather and they're really high quality cloth mix here. The cloth is actually really cool. I decided to go with it just because it's a topographic map, just like on the hood, which really matches that Deserthawk theme. It's hard to see, I know, but it's really, really cool. Also, you have your cup holders here. I don't really, oh come on, it's not focusing again. I don't really love the position of the cup holders, honestly, but you do have a nice plush leather center console that does slide forward here. So if you're driving, have one hand on the wheel on the bottom here, you can put it up there, or just if you want it extended, you can. Has a fairly good sized center console. Sorry if my GoPro's mounting here. It goes pretty far down in there. have your USB connection for iPod or just to charge your phone or whatever you have in here. Now we'll move to the back, which we'll test the room in just a second. Give like a little how much room I have review here. Door panel is basically identical, just instead of you just have a tweeter right here. Same exact seat design with the topographic map here. This is a 60-40, or sorry, can't speak, 40-20-40 seat folding design here. You can just pull this little strap, the center console back here, 2 cup holders, and a pass-through, kind of like in a sedan for skis or whatever, part of that 40-20-40 here. And there is a very convenient way to fold down the rear seats here. All you have to do, you can just, it's easier to do it in the third row or than the trunk in my opinion. You just push this little lever right here. It's not focusing, sorry again. Then you just push down on there. That seat's too far back to push it right now, but then same on that. And then, so it can be either 60-40 or 40-20-40, which is pretty handy for some situations here. Going to the trunk right now, since we're already here, all throughout this car I have the interior protection package. So we have these Jeep branded all-terrain floor mats, or all-weather I should say, which have been awesome. If there's any mud or sand you get in the car, you literally just throw them outside and wash them with a water hose. Easy. Here's the subwoofer with a little Beach logo on them, just like on the speakers. Have a nice little net here, and a 12-volt charger, which we use for airing up the tires when we air them down to go off-road. Also, there's a little strap you pull here. Full-size spare in here. This just have the stock tires, which are not at all good off-road, by the way. The Falcon Wild Peaks, I think they should honestly add all-terrain standard on the off-road models personally, but you know, it's what you get. You can change tires, obviously, like I did. So that's about it for the trunk and the second row, but I will do a comfort test in just a second. So the second row with the seat all the way back is quite cramped, as you see. Once you get in, even if your knees are hitting the back, it's not incredibly uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to sit here on a road trip, for instance, but it's not horrible, honestly. You know, it's just fine, honestly. But if I adjusted the passenger seat up here to a comfortable seating position for me, I'm 6 foot tall, I pushed the seat up here perfectly for me in the front. So I'm comfortable in the front, and this is how it looks in the back with me comfortable in the front. So I have plenty of legroom sitting up here just fine. And of course, like I said earlier, this fold down center console, and you have 2 dual armrests right here basically. Works really nice, very comfortable. Well, you may be saying, the Jeep Renegade Trailhawk and the Deserthawk models are Jeeps that are off-road capable. But how off-road capable? What are the specifications of the off-road capability? Well, this specific one, the Deserthawk and the Trailhawk, both have a 30.5 degree approach angle, a 25.7 degree breakover angle, and a 34.3 degree departure angle. Pretty good. Not as good as a Wrangler, obviously. This is not some insane off-road machine, although it is incredibly well. It does incredibly well. This thing also has 8.7 inches of ground clearance, up to 19 inches of water fording capability as well. Has a 35 inch turning radius, I guess you could say. It turns very tightly, really well, and it has, despite the low amount of torque and horsepower it has, you wouldn't expect it to be too great off-road climbing or anything like that. It's phenomenal, especially with these tires. Now, I'm not near as confident with street tires on this thing. It's a much different animal with street tires on it. With all-terrain tires, this thing is a monster off-road, and it's just amazing. We went to Big Bend National Park this last weekend. We did a Black Gap 4x4 trail, really hard trail. It's on the Jeep Badge of Honor program. It's so hard. This thing did it great. Again, I'll post a video of that later on. I did it with my GoPro. Of course, there's the step part of that. most infamous part of the trail. Of course, my GoPro messed up and didn't record that because who knows why. Sad about that. But still, video will be coming up. This thing just dominated it. It scraped a couple of times, but this thing has skid plates running through the whole underside of this thing, and of course it has the rock rails. We slammed down on a rock super hard, an in-ground rock with these rock rails. We thought, man, this thing's gonna have a massive dent. Nothing, not even a scratch on these rock rails or the skid plates. They look perfect. They're a little bit dirty, but they're not scratched up or anything. It's great. This thing's off-road capability is incredibly surprising. And we went through some areas that went really far down and then back up, like little hills, you know, places really close to each other. We would go nose all the way down and then have probably a couple of feet, and then we instantly have to go completely vertical almost, and then get over. Dominated so perfectly. Again, other than tires, this is completely stock. I'm incredibly proud of this Jeep. I would also like to showcase another cool feature of my specifically spec Trailhawk here, or Deserthawk here, sorry. It also comes on the Trailhawk, and I think every other model has this option here. The My Sky roof panels. These panels on the roof make the Renegade logo, which you would know probably as the Phillips Head logo, a lot of people call it. It's on the very top of the car, and it looks pretty cool. The panels are carbon fiber, if I didn't already mention that. They're incredibly lightweight and easy to remove. All you have to do is come with this provided key here, of course with the Jeep logo, which is awesome, or the Jeep grill. And all you have to do is put this in the little key slot and push up on the top. I can't really record this too easily with one hand and then do it with the other. So I'm going to put the camera over here and do the best I can to show you how this works. So all you have to do, and this is also power in the front, which is pretty awesome. So it's just like a power sunroof in the front. So you get the key, like I said, put it in this little key slot up here, then turn it. This little latch comes down. You pull the latch back, and then what you have to do is put both hands on the front, that's what I like to do, and then over near the latch, push up, and then push it back or on the back to the front to make it easier to take off. And what I do, specifically on my Renegade, since I have these rock rails, put my hand up here, I just climb up here on top of it, and then get a grip, boom, just like that. Have the roof panel off. Now there is a carrying bag for these panels. I unfortunately did not have it with me, it's still in my garage, but I'll show you how perfectly these panels fit in the trunk. Perfect dimensions. They look awesome back there, or they work awesome back there. Up here, it's open, and of course you can take the back one off too. Gives it a really cool open air experience here. I'll take the top off on the back for demonstration. Okay, now I've taken both of the tops off of this. As you can see here. I'm gonna get in the back here, and they just show you how awesome this is. Just like a panoramic sunroof almost. It's really sweet. Now on the new 2018 trim, they do have a dual pane panoramic sunroof available on it, which is really nice, but honestly I probably would prefer this just because of how cool this is. So you have a lot of view from up there. It's really nice. And that is the 2017 Jeep Renegade Deserthawk. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.